All right, let's move on to the next email. And the next email today comes to us from Fred Brason, who writes, I'm a big Game of Thrones fan. Even with all the official talk about prequels and spinoffs, I've never actually thought that they'd really do them. But then I saw today that they hired Naomi Watts to star in the prequel show. I love her. 21 Grams is one of my all-time favorite movies. What do you think about her joining this new Westeros story? All right, thanks a lot for the question, Fred. And yeah, for those of you guys who didn't catch it yesterday, Naomi Watts, multiple Academy-nominated actress, has been cast to star in the prequel show. Now, as of right now, we still don't know a lot about the prequel show, but I'm going to tell you right now, I love this news. I love this news. You add a powerhouse actress like Naomi Watts to a highly anticipated show like a Game of Thrones prequel, you're starting off on the right foot. Because clearly they're going, okay, we've got this character, but we're going to need a performer that can pull off some really heavy lifting. We need an actress who can come in here and pull off the deep cuts. We need somebody here who can carry this, and they didn't mess around. They went out and got a 2-time Oscar-nominated actress in Naomi Watts, and she's way better. I'm going to tell you this right now. Naomi Watts is way better than just a 2-time Academy Award nominee. This is a woman who should probably have 4 or 5 nominations and maybe even a trophy on her mantle right now. She's just that good. Now, even though we don't know much about the project, what Deadline went on to tell us a little bit about what this prequel may be about, because I'll tell you right now, I've known nothing about the prequel. I just know that they were talking about doing a prequel series. I didn't know anything about it. But Deadline went in to talk a little bit about the series itself and about the slightest bit about what Naomi Watts' character could be. Here's what Deadline had to say. The untitled prequel takes place thousands of years before the events of Game of Thrones. It chronicles the world's descent from the golden age of heroes into its darkest hour. And only one thing is for sure. From the horrifying secrets of Westeros history to the true origin of the White Walkers, the mysteries of the East to the Starks of legend, it's not the story we think we know. The creative team behind the project is not giving away much about Watts' character, but she will play a charismatic socialite hiding a dark secret. Bum, bum, bum. Well, okay, yes, we know she's going to hide a dark secret. That kind of goes without saying in any kind of Game of Thrones. Every character in Game of Thrones, even the service wench, as they call her, they all carry dark secrets, so that's fine. I didn't know, though, maybe a lot of you guys did, but I don't really keep my ear to the ground on Game of Thrones stuff too awful much, although I do like the show. I didn't know they were talking about doing this prequel series thousands of years in the past. I didn't realize that. My assumption, which you know what they say about assumptions, but my assumption has been that this prequel series would happen decades before the events of Game of Thrones, maybe even a century or two before Game of Thrones. I had no concept that they were going to be doing this thing thousands of years earlier than that. But again, let's get back to the main issue here. Naomi Watts getting attached. If you are a fan of Game of Thrones, you must be thrilled with this. You have to be thrilled. So yes, again, we've mentioned the 2 Academy Award nominations, but let's look at some of the more notable films and the notable performances of Naomi Watts and what she's given us in her career, right? First of all, recently she was in Birdman with Michael Keaton. She was amazing. That one of the reasons that movie worked so well, obviously Michael Keaton was the lead of that, but Naomi Watts was terrific in it. Mulholland Drive is probably the movie that put her on the map for a lot of people. She, of course, was the lead heroine in King Kong. We obviously have 21 Grams. She was terrific in J. Edgar. Now, J. Edgar was a movie that had a lot of issues. It did. It had a number of issues, but the performances in it were stellar, including Leo DiCaprio, Armie Hammer, but Naomi Watts was terrific in that. And then, of course, she played with Viggo Mortensen in Eastern Promises, and she was also fantastic in that. Look, Naomi Watts is just one of those actresses where her representation doesn't always put her in the best movies, not always. Sometimes she's in some questionable stuff. But she's one of these performers that when she is in a project, just take it to the bank. She's going to be great in it. She will give a great performance. And you can just count on that every time. And that's why somebody like me, who's a Game of Thrones fan, gets excited about this news. So again, we're a long way away from getting any real meaty stuff about the new show, but this is a great first step. So I, for one, am pretty excited. All right, let's move on now to the next email.